Let me speak now to Dr. Yasser Abu Jamei, is the Director General of the Gaza Community Mental Health Program. Good morning, Yasser. Really appreciate your time. Um, Again, a ceasefire could start anywhere within the next 24 hours. But so far, 67,000, more than 67,000 Palestinians killed over the last 2 years. There are still thousands who remain missing, at least 20,000 children among the dead, 160,000 people injured, long term, life altering, disabling wounds and amputations. If the ceasefire ends right now, and 90% of buildings and infrastructure is destroyed, what do people return to? And what are the long term impacts, say, of living with a disability, living even with maybe the infection of wounds and diseases? Where are Gazans left immediately? Yasser, good morning.
A very good morning to you and your audience. This is a very important question, actually. And I think what usually, and I'm really sorry that I use the word usually, this is not the best thing to use, but it's not, we know that this is not the first time that Palestinians are exposed to large scale military offensives and attacks. Of course, this is the biggest one. This is the most devastating one, the most brutal one. But what usually happens is that we have minutes of, we can say, of celebration. People for the first few hours, if I would say, they cheer because they have survived. They cheer their survival, that they are still alive, that they have managed to go through all the brutalities that they were exposed to. And this is something that started already yesterday, afternoon, once they started to hear the news, once the announcement was made. However, that is a very transient emotion. Immediately, the second thing that happens is the opening of mourning houses. Immediately it happens because we have to mourn the loss of the beloved people. And in this time, it's not hundreds, it's not thousands, it's tens of thousands of people. And let's not really only think about those figures, the devastating figures, the number of the people who got killed or who are under the rubble still at the moment. But each family will have its own story, its own story of survival, but its own story of grief and its own story of loss. That's why, while these mourning houses will continue, perhaps for a couple of weeks, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But the other thing, which is to begin to struggle with, not only with the memories, with the recollections of what happened, but also to continue to struggle to just go on with your life when you know that there isn't a single school that is still functioning yet. The infrastructure is totally destroyed. That people are waiting for the right moment to head back to their areas of where they used to live in. Unfortunately, we cannot say, we are not sure that they will return to their homes with the high level of destruction, but they are going to at least get as close as possible. And I am saying as close as possible because now the news is that Israel is going to draw to a yellow line that was withdrawn, which keeps Israel in control of about 50 or maybe 53% of the Gaza Strip, which means that, this is a very crowded area already with 2.3 million people living in 365 square kilometers. So
one of the most densely populated, one of the most densely populated areas in the world. Before I get to the toll on mental health, just immediately on immediate physical health. 125 health facilities have been damaged, 34 hospitals also damaged, if not destroyed. 1,700 health workers have been killed. 28 of Gaza's top physicians, including 18 senior specialists, have been detained by Israeli forces. Clearly, the Gazan health system cannot cope here in terms of humanitarian support, in aid support. What's needed to immediately see to the most immediate physical health of people in Gaza?
Well, first of all, we need to ensure that the ceasefire holds and that things continue to be on track. I mean, there is a big question in our minds that what happens after the exchange happens. I mean, that would be 1 week from now. What's going to be next? Is Israel is going to resume its activities, or they are going to really adhere to what was agreed upon? That's the very essential thing to begin from. If without any, I think, clear and strong international pressure, I'm not sure that Israel would really hold to that agreement. That's one thing. The other thing, there is a need really to ensure the very basic rights of the Palestinian people are maintained. We say the right to health, we say the right to education, we say the right to safety, we say the right to protection. These are very, very basic human rights that everyone should adhere to. And then again, as you said, we have specialists. Our health facilities, our health structures were not at best even before October 2023, because we were working under blockade and under years of suffocating blockade, difficulties with even maintaining health services. And this is not going to change unless there is a clear will from the international community to support the re-establishment or the resumption of a well-functioning health system in Gaza Strip. And for that, we don't need only, sorry to say it like that, we don't really need only slogans, but we need acts. The first thing is to mobilize massive field hospitals that could can get into Gaza Strip and work from there. We need hundreds of physicians with different specialties who can come into Gaza Strip. And I'm sorry to say that we don't have enough Palestinian professionals to do that now, with hundreds, as you said, it's actually more than 1,700 already being killed, especially some of them with good senior specialty experience are being detained until now in Israeli prisons. So, I mean, we need the field hospitals immediately, and we need the specialty staff immediately in order to start operating on that. And also, we need to know, and I can give a couple of examples. One of my cousins has a son who is just 17. That 17-year-old son was, like many of the thousands of people, was trying to go to the distribution facility, where he got a gunshot into his abdomen, and now he has an open wound. His intestine had a big problem that is now he has some issues, and then there's a follow-up surgery that has to be done after like 5 or 6 months. But the question that his father told me, he said, I'm not sure how he can survive just the one that is still open. How is it going to survive while he's staying in a tent? And now we are just pushed to be at the seaside. Imagine living there in a tent when the cold weather is during the night and the windy weather is there. How he is going to survive these ones? I mean,
Yasser, running out of time, and apologies to break your word, but I really want to focus on the impact of mental health, particularly on children. Up to 4,000 children have at least lost one limb, have had an amputation over the last 2 years. Without trying to speed up people's grief or to what is now the step? What is firstly the impact on mental health, but then also there are political parties who have agreed to this ceasefire. They've agreed, at least momentarily, we will, and hopefully long-lasting, end hostilities here. But how many children have been radicalized over the last 2 years? How many more, and to use the example that has been used a lot over the last while, after killing one person, how many more Hamas members or people with sympathies to retribution have been created here? What is the long-term impact, if not in as part of our goal to seek normalization Israel-Palestine relations, maybe the seeking of a concrete two-state deal, looking at ending occupation and settlers and settlements in the West Bank, retreating completely from Gaza. Just what's going to have to go with that, along with dealing with people's mental health and grief, and particularly children.
39,000 children lost at least one of their parents, including more than, I think, 18,000 who have lost both of their parents. There are almost 1,000 children who are now without any accompanying member of their family, nuclear family, like parents and siblings. And I'm not sure, but with more than 20,000 children being killed now, if there will be any school that haven't lost a child, in Gaza Strip, and that means that the day children will return to schools, and I hope that they come soon, they are going to live also with the fact that they have lost a child, or maybe a friend or a peer, or maybe that one in their class, one of their classmates is with amputation, or maybe one is like But again, we speak about more than 1 million children who were repeatedly exposed to multiple attacks, which means that they endured the bombardment. They were displaced several times. They have probably lost their houses because almost 80% of the housing were destroyed. And at the same time, those children are going to continue to live in areas of destruction within the rubble, within things that will keep reminding them every day of what have happened. And that's why we say it's very important for those children to first empower or enforce or support the structures around them, the supporting structures, mainly to begin with the family.
Yeah.
Need really to support their families. And the very basic thing is to find a good shelter for them.
Yeah.
I mean, the very basic things do not exist at the moment, unfortunately. We need to begin
it's a long road. Yes, you say there are celebrations now, people having survived the last 2 years, but it is a long fight and possibly an intergenerational fight for stability. Really appreciate your time. Psychologist Dr. Yasser Abu Jamei is the Director General of the Gaza Community Mental Health Program. Thanks so much for joining us.